What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my MLB Week 7 power rankings. And as you can see in this one, the Minnesota Twins are moving up 10 spots after going 6-0 last week and currently on an 8-game win streak. Teams that are fallen the most, you got the Rays and the A's falling 7 spots. But the stories of the week, big week this week as two managers get fired. Pirates and Rockies both fire their managers, and so the Rockies, it's long overdue after 9 years. They've never had a winning season. It's been a while. But talk about winning. The Twins and the Cardinals both on 8-game winning streaks currently. Twins have a little more catching up to do than the Cardinals do in the Central. Both these teams are on a tear right now, and that's why they're moving up in our rankings as well. Jason Dominguez has a 3 home run game versus the A's. He is the youngest Yankee to do so in the club's history, which is pretty crazy. With all the great Yankees that there are. And speaking of great Yankees this year, you got Aaron Judge just on a tear right now, almost a 400 batting average, 14 home runs, 37 RBIs, and an OPS of almost 1.3, which is out of this world to start this year. 30 through 26. No surprise you find those two teams that fired their managers here on this list. Rockies did win that game after the announcing of the firing, so they did win against the Padres, and same for the Pirates. They won their game against the Braves and series once they fired their manager as well. But the Marlins, White Sox, Angels, I moved the White Sox up because they beat the Marlins in a series. Marlins didn't win a series last week, and the White Sox have better prospects coming up that could make this team better down the stretch. And then the Angels, great start to the year, but here we are yet again where they just collapse. 21 through 25, I think you can rank probably even the 15 through 25. All these teams are pretty close. Maybe not the Orioles and the Nationals. So 15 through 23, I think you can put in any order how you want to put it. But the Reds had a bad week last week, didn't win a series. So I'm moving them back. And then I'm putting the Brewers back as well. It's interesting. They did go 3-3 last week, beat Houston in a series at home, but the Tampa Bay series to me was a big head scratcher. I thought maybe they'd gain some momentum from that Houston series, but they did not. And on a positive note, Brandon Woodruff should be back next week for the Brewers to give them some boost to that rotation. And talk about a rotation, it's something the A's really need to figure out because Severino has been lights out for a few starts, and then other starts it looks like he's never pitched before. And that was the case against the Yankees. He got lit up on Sunday, and it's not what you want to see for the A's. If they want to really have a shot at making playoffs this year, they need to find pitching and reliable pitching at best. And you can see there 6 games against NL West, pretty much guys that are above 500, gonna be 500 the whole year. You got to win those games, at least steal a series. 16 through 20, talking about those Rays earlier, bad week. I'm dropping them 7 spots after getting swept at home to Philly, and then they responded well with a 2-1 series win against Milwaukee. Maybe it's a little bit of an overreaction, but the Rays to me have been very inconsistent, and we saw that last week. And then they get to go on the road to face Toronto and Miami, so maybe they can get back to 500 this week. Toronto, for the most part, had a 4-2 week, swept Seattle in Seattle, which was a big series win. The case is there to be made, but this team has been very inconsistent. And Tampa comes into town and Detroit. So it's a big week for Toronto to see where they are kind of moving forward. The Braves have lost all 4 games where they can get back to 500 this year. They just can't get over that hump. And I think if they can, it would be in this series against Washington because they're playing some really bad baseball right now. It's at home. Maybe they can get back on track here and get over 500 heading into that series against Boston. Texas stays the same here at 17, lost in Boston. It's probably was going to drop them, but then they went to Detroit and won that series after getting, you know, embarrassed Friday night against Skubal. They responded well on Saturday and Sunday, getting some big wins. And then the Giants go into Chicago, get a huge series win. Maybe this team leaps into the top 5 if they can beat Minnesota in a series, but it's not the case. They got swept in Minnesota to a team that is on fire right now. And as you can see, you haven't seen them yet. But you do find Minnesota, St. Louis, and Boston, 2 teams that have flipped the script in a matter of a week because, well, Twins and Cardinals went 6-0 last week. Red Sox won 2 series they probably shouldn't have won on paper, especially the one in Kansas City. So they get more credit from me and probably other people are going to give them credit for. And they go to Boston goes to Detroit this week to start the week, and that's a huge series. I think for Detroit and Boston, Detroit, if they want to really show that they're going to be a top team, you can't lose series back to back at home. The Red Sox, if they want to keep the hot streak going, they have to win this series before they play Atlanta at home. Now, Cardinals and Twins, obviously what they did was great, but this week they all got to go on the road. I know the Cardinals beat Washington on the road, but you can see their tougher schedule for the Cardinals this week in Philly, in Kansas City. Minnesota has a little easier in Baltimore and in Milwaukee, but you still got to win games on the road. And then you have the two teams in the ALS that I haven't talked about, the Mariners and the Astros. Mariners, great series win early in the week against a division opponent, against the Athletics, and then you get swept at home against Toronto. That's why you're falling on my top 10. Astros, they stay at 15, beat Cincinnati at home, so they took care of business at home. And to me, that's all you got to do is take care of business at home and you'll stay put. But they get Kansas City and Texas, two teams that are right around where Houston is. And then same with Seattle. They got two powerhouses coming in. New York comes in early this week, and then they go to San Diego. 6 through 10. And no surprise, you find two teams falling out of the top five, the Tigers and the Cubs. Then the Guardians, Royals stay the same. And then the Diamondbacks leapfrog into the top 10, even with a losing week. And I say that because you got the Mets coming to town and the Dodgers. You split with the Dodgers. You could have won probably another game against the Mets in my eyes. Um, just a few things didn't go their way, but the Diamondbacks are playing some really good baseball. And I think people are overlooking them at this point right now because you have the Giants who are out of nowhere playing really good until this week, of course. And then you have the Padres and the Dodgers, of course, playing really good baseball. So I think the Dodgers, Diamondbacks are getting a little overlooked. And I think that table could turn if they can go into San Francisco, not sweep them, but at least win that series. The Royals, Guardians, and Tigers, all three AL Central teams. And I expect that to be a dogfight for the rest of the year if they can play half of what they're playing right now. You can see there the Royals go on the road to Houston, Cleveland on the road in Cincy, and then Detroit in Toronto. So maybe Detroit has a little favorable schedule this week, especially the way St. Louis has been playing because they're on fire, and the Guardians and Milwaukee, you know how they are on the road this year. So these two teams or three teams could pretty much be flip-flop at any point in this season. And then the Cubs, like I said, whoever's at my number one, it seems like they have a bad week and fall out of number one. So here they are ending up at 7. Didn't win a series this week. Could have won a game against San Francisco, or they should have won, where one out in the 10th inning and they didn't score that run. And then the wheels fell off in the 11th, giving up, I think it was 9 runs to the Giants. So, and since then, that moment forward for the rest of the week, they just kind of didn't have it. But they have 6 games at home this week against my bottom teams. If the Cubs don't go 5-1 or better, I think it's kind of a disappointment this week. Then 1 through 5, you have 4 National League teams here. I put the Dodgers back at 1. Dodgers Mets was a big question mark for me. Even maybe the Phillies, you can say, made a case with going 5-1 last week. But for me, Dodgers on paper, it makes too much sense. They played, I guess, the Mets played the best teams last week, but the Dodgers have earned it. They've been time and time again been the most consistent team this year. Then the Mets, Phillies, Padres, even the Padres, I get that they went 3-3, but a series win in Colorado, what's that really do? Losing to the Yankees on the road, that's kind of giving you that why the Yankees are at number 4. They're moving up 7 spots. So as you can see here, all these teams I think could be interchangeable, even down to 7 with the Cubs. All these teams could really be ranked anywhere based on personal preference. But I got to put the Dodgers at 1 just because they've been playing the most consistent baseball here over these last few weeks. That's going to be it for my week 7 power rankings. Check back next week to see where your favorite team ranks. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.